Phantom's anonymous. I know I am. Hey, hey, hey. It's obvious, tune into Phantom's Anonymous. They talk about everything from Batman to Pocahontas. Leave you in astonishment like beat a Mario Odyssey. It's going down, girls and boys, pick up your phone and follow me. Malcolm's always delivering, just like dominoes. The newest breaking news, like who just got the new movie role. So get a snack and relax your toes. It's time to get the knowledge from the pros. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Phantoms Anonymous. It is time for our Ant-Man and the Wasp spoilers review. What a action-packed movie. I must say myself, it was a very action-packed movie. This is our first movie after the traumatic events of Avengers Infinity War. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Again, this is a spoilers review. You saw the title. So if you clicked on it and you comment below, why did I spoil something? That's because you chose to watch it. Let's keep it going. So we start off with a flashback to Hank and Janet leaving Hope at home for a trip that they were going to take. And we all know what their trip was. That trip was to go stop that missile that they talked about in the first Ant-Man movie. The first Ant-Man movie where Hank talked about Janet going subatomic to go move in between the particles to stop the missile from bombing this big piece of land and killing thousands and millions of people. We're getting that backstory and the de-aging that Marvel does in these movies for their characters like Kurt Russell. Who else am I trying to put out there? Kurt Russell. Hank, Michael Douglas, Hank Pym himself. I couldn't pull it out for some reason. I just lost it. The de-aging technology, and also they're doing it for Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie. It was absolutely beautiful. Hank couldn't go subatomic because his regulator was damaged. Now we're just really finding that out. If I don't remember that from the first Ant-Man movie, remind me. But he says it here. I couldn't go subatomic because my regulator went out. We finally get the intro back. You know, I'm a big musician. I love my orchestral music, and the intro has finally returned because we did not get an intro from the doom and gloom from Avengers Infinity War. We get Scott and Cassie playing Make Believe at home because, you know, Scott's on house arrest from the events of breaking the Sokovia Accords from Captain America Civil War. Scott and Luis own a company called ex-con, I think security consultants who are, you know, they're ex-con, and they tell businesses where they need to put cameras and other things to protect their valuables inside of their business. That right there is just hilarious. So Scott basically has been on house arrest for the last 2 years, ever since, again, the events of Civil War. He made a deal with the government basically saying that I'll go on house arrest so I can be at home with my child. I won't participate in any type of superhero activities. We see Randall Park in this. You guys know Randall Park from the hit show Fresh Off the Boat. This guy is hilarious. Every time I see him on something, he's always amazing. Scott has been having connected visions of Janet in the quantum realm, and we find out a little bit later on about what those connected visions really mean. Scott called and left a message on Hank's phone letting him know, like, hey, I had this dream. I know you guys hate me because if you remember the fact that Scott went out and became Ant-Man along with Captain America in Germany, it also put a target on Hope and Hank's back to the point where they've just been moving around for the last 2 years so they would get captured up by the FBI. Scott was eating and a bug zapped him and he passed out. It was actually Hope in the Wasp suit who stung him to sleep. She then brought him to the building where they were working on stuff in the laboratory. And she also replaced Scott with one of the large ants to mimic the fact that he was still in the house and not frolicking around, breaking his whole house arrest probation style order. She says that they have basically been running for 2 years, like I just mentioned, you know, because of their connection. And that was kind of messed up, you know, and Scott understands and he understands that they kind of, in a sense, hate him for that. It seems like Janet connected with Scott in the quantum realm, and she's sending messages through him somehow. The quantum realm is a very, 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 very unknown place. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later because we really get to understand the quantum realm more and more. They packed up the building. They actually shrunk the building, and they're basically going to get a part that will help extract the information from Scott's head to help them find out how to get to Janet inside of the quantum realm. Basically, Hope has been getting products from a black market dealer named Sonny Birch who sells them parts. Before that, we saw Ghost outside of the building for the first time. When they packed up the building, we saw Ghost for the first time, and we understand the character of Ghost is. And I'm gonna do a separate video on Ghost as well. He basically wants her to go in business with them to use their ideas of quantum technology, because he says quantum technology, it's the future. Beyond nanotech or anything else, quantum technology is the future. He took her money and she left, but came back in this Wasp suit and kicked everybody behind. The salt trick was legendary. She threw this big thing she threw this small little jar of salt, a salt shaker, and shot it and made it bigger and just stopped the guy in his tracks in the doorway. Hope ends up getting out with the component, left the guy the money because she's a noble person, but Ghost shows up. Ghost wants the component for herself. Scott ends up suiting up from a suit that Hank had in the van with him, and he suited up to go help her, but Ghost got away and also got to Hank and took the component. So at this point, I'm speculating that Ghost is the daughter of Bill Foster, aka Goliath, played by Lawrence Fishburne, but I get tricked and flipped around. This was a good misdirection of movie creators and directors out there. So Ghost apparently looks like she went to the quantum realm too much and she's unstable. We find out the truth in a minute. She needs the tech to repair herself. We end up going to Bill Foster's class where he's teaching about quantum phasing, and this is why I really made the connection. Okay, so we just see Ghost, we understand what she is, and then we go to Bill Foster and he's teaching about this whole quantum phasing type thing. So the FBI apparently saw them and came to the school where they were. The large ant was basically playing a rock band. The ant was programmed to follow Scott's every move. 9 hours in the bed, 5 hours doing something else, and a couple hours playing the game, and then 2 hours in the bathroom. So they programmed the ant to mimic that whole, dialect that Scott was doing throughout his day, so it wouldn't trigger anything with the FBI. So they needed the old suit to track the lab, and Scott didn't actually burn it, although he told Hank he burnt it at the beginning. They had to go to Cassie's school to get it out of the trophy that she took to school. Remember early in the movie they were playing with a little small trophy. It was like the treasure in their little adventure or whatnot, and he actually hid the old suit inside of that trophy. So they end up getting it. So the regulator on the suit that he's in now was out of sync, and it had him grow larger than size inside this closet in the school, but it ended up having him shrink down to like a little 3-year-old size, and that was pretty hilarious. When they got back in the van, they asked him, how was school today? Oh, you sound a little angry. You sound a little cranky. Do you need a juice box and some string cheese? Hilarious jokes throughout this movie. Hilarious. They end up getting in the ghost house, and we find out that her name is Ava. She ended up waking up and stopping them. Now we see Ava in this chamber-like situation, and she's in that chamber because it helps regulate her body so she won't just phase out completely, because she says it hurts. It hurts to just continue to phase and your molecules are just all over the place. So we found out that Bill is not her dad, but Bill is a friend of her dad. Her dad and Bill were fired from the SHIELD program that Hank Pym was working on because of their differences, but Ava's dad continued to do his work at home. There was an explosion with a quantum realm tunnel that he had built, and Ava ended up absorbing a lot of that quantum realmness that came out, and it ended up having her become the character of Ghost, and she ended up being chosen by SHIELD to do missions and kill people and steal stuff. So she's been living kind of a hard life. Like I said, I'm gonna do a separate video on Ghost in a minute so we can really ask the question, is she a villain? All right, so we move forward. She has what's called molecular disequilibrium. Yes, that's a very long word, but that's what she has, where her molecules and her equilibrium are just all the way off. Bill told Ava not to kill Hank in the very beginning, but just to watch them, to learn what they were doing, to see if they can get some type of advancement on how to help cure her. She found out about the memories in Scott's head, and that's when she started to really plot her move to go after them. Bill basically wants to use Janet, who's absorbed all this quantum energy for the last 30 years, to fix Ava. Hank faked being sick and had the large ants released from his Altoids tin to get them out. And if you remember earlier, Scott just kept asking for an Altoid, and he kept telling him no, but we see that this was a defense mechanism that Hank had in place in case something went crazy or haywire. Ava wanted to mess with Cassie, but Bill told her no, that would not help, and that he would not continue to help her if she did that. We move on to Sonny Birch, who came to Luis to get him to talk about where Scott was, and he told him. He told him where Scott was because they juked him up with this little truth serum stuff. Ghost was there too, and basically has gone to stop them as well. Meanwhile, Janet took over Scott's brain because she put in an antenna on him when she was inside the quantum realm when Scott came through. They tried to start the tunnel, but it wasn't working properly. But with Janet taking over his mind, she was able to correctly change the schematics to make it work. Because Luis told them the location, the feds showed up. Scott took a suit to get back to his house to not get caught and made it there in time. And Ghost showed up and took the lab. This lab just kept going from person to person to person to person because of how valuable it was with all of Hank Pym's technology in it that would connect to the whole quantum realm situation. Scott sprung Hank and Hope out of jail in time enough to go find the lab because they got arrested after Luis knew the location of the lab, and Sonny Burgess called somebody within the FBI to go tell them where the lab was, and the FBI showed up, so they got arrested, but Scott was able to break them out. They ended up finding the lab and used the ants to kind of shut it down when they were getting ready to run the whole quantum realm tunnel, Bill and Ava per se. So Hank got into his own suit to go inside the quantum realm to go save Janet. There is a Funko Pop coming out with Hank Pym in his suit without the helmet. Hot Topic exclusive, definitely getting that. So Ghost ended up finding Scott, and Hank went on into the quantum realm. While they got the building away, Sonny Birch went after Hope, and she took them on a whirlwind trip around the city, shrinking in the car, growing things, just stopping them at all cuts and corners. She then grew a Pez dispenser and also shrunk a motorcycle for a guy that was actually riding on, like he was riding on the motorcycle, and she shrunk the motorcycle. Then we get the Stan Lee cameo because she shot a beam and it shrunk his car. He was like, stuff in the 60s and stuff now just crazy. So it was kind of cool. Of course, you got to get that Stan Lee cameo. So shout out to Stan Lee. Meanwhile, Hank is traveling through the quantum realm. He's still on this little trip or whatnot. Ghost gets the lab but loses it to Sonny Birch. Hank made it all the way inside the quantum void, which is where Janet told him that they were. Sonny has a lab and got on the ferry, but Scott tried to call ants to help him, but the birds kept flying above him and eating the ants. He was able to get the lab. Basically what he did was he went out into the water, he grew giant size and just plucked it out of his hand and basically was able to get away with it, which I thought was pretty cool. Hank got to the point where he started to lose his mind, but Janet found him in time. She touched him and calmed him down. She did age though. And one thing we found out was that time and space are different inside the quantum realm. And this is something that Hank Pym said in the beginning. So there's some type of retcon because I expected her to not have aged, but she did age. So again, time and space is different. So that doesn't necessarily mean that she would or would not have aged. It can go both ways, but she aged. So Scott got too big and basically passed out, and Hope was able to save him in time. Ava got the lab and tried to start the extraction process, but they were able to stop her because even through that process, you could see it was starting to split Janet apart. Hank and Janet finally made it out in time, and Janet was able to go to Ava and touch her and help her calm down from those side effects from the quantum technology or energy. They got away with the lab, and Scott grew the suit as a distraction, but he wasn't in it, and he was able to get to his house again in time, and he was ended up to be officially let out of house arrest as well. So Hank and Janet went to a secluded beach and took their house and grew it up on a secluded beach, and ex-con security consultants finally got a full contract to do business. And Cassie, Hope, and Scott shrunk down together in the little woods to watch a movie. Great movie, but that's not it. The end credits. This movie was good, but of course everybody was waiting on the end credits to see what was going to happen. One of our end credit scenes had the large ant in Scott's house playing drums on the guitar or whatnot. But the main pivotal end credit scene that everybody was looking for was how was this going to connect to Avengers Infinity War. In the end, Janet now is doing new research where she is taking quantum healing energy that could help Ava and maybe help other people as well. So they send Scott into the quantum realm, and they're using this tunnel out of the back of Luis's van. They send Scott in. They let him know, hey, go ahead and go in. use this tube to get the quantum energy. It'll suck it all up. Try not to go too far to the left, to the right. If you get sucked in the time travel void, we are not going to be able to get you out. That was some specific stuff they said. We're not going to be able to get you out. Scott goes in. He collects the energy that they asked for. Scott comes out. Scott did not come out yet. He was like, okay guys, I got it. Go ahead and let me out. He was just sitting there floating. He's like, hey, guys, you're there. Oh, you're there. We pan back out on the rooftop where they were. And all three of them got dusted because of the snap. Now, here's where it got pivotal for me, because I wasn't expecting all of them to get dusted. I was at least expecting Hope to be left over. Janet and Hank, yeah, they could get dusted. But not all three of them. So now you just got Scott sitting in the quantum realm. There's no way out. We're still feeling the remnants of Avengers Infinity War, even after Avengers Infinity War has already ended. Now I'm going to talk about that particular end credit scene in a separate video, but this has been my spoilers review for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments below, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook. As always, we'll see you guys in another video.
Check it, it's Phantoms Anonymous in the spot. Gonna let you know what's poppin', let you know what's hot about all the different kinds, movies and TV shows, Funko Pops, games, and more. Whoa, so here we go. From Marvel to DC, Transformers like Bumblebee, we got all your fandom needs. So sit back and relax and enjoy the views. Leave a like and subscribe, check in on Facebook to stay tuned.